Well, there's something I've been thinking about. A lot of people say they want to learn English, but I don't think that's completely true. I don't think most people wake up excited because today's finally the day that we'll understand the third conditional. Nobody's making coffee at 7 a.m. thinking, today my soul needs phrasal verbs. No, I think people want English because English is connected to something else. A better job, a new country, a meeting where they finally speak, a trip where they don't feel dependent, a room where they don't feel smaller, and a conversation where they don't disappear. So maybe English is not the real desire. Maybe English is the door. And what people really want is access to opportunities, access to connection, access to a version of themselves that feels trapped behind the language. And that's what I want to talk about today. Welcome to the PodBites Show. To begin with, English is not just a subject. One of the biggest mistakes we make is treating English like a school subject, like math, like chemistry, like something you study, pass, and move on from. And maybe that's why so many people spend years and years studying English but don't feel like English belongs to them because they keep treating it like content. But language is not only content. Language is access, it's behavior, language is identity, language is relationship. Language is how you enter a room, it's how you introduce yourself. Language is how you defend your idea. Language is how you tell your story. It's how you say, this is who I am, in a place where people don't speak your first language. And that's why it matters so much. Not because the present perfect is romantic. It's not. The present perfect has never bought anyone flowers. But communication changes things. When you can communicate, you participate. And when you participate, life opens. Now, come with me. The pain is not just, I don't know the word. The real frustration is not just forgetting a word. Of course, forgetting a word is annoying. You are there trying to say something intelligent, and suddenly your brain hides the most basic word possible. You're like, I need the object, yes, the chair. Yeah. Beautiful moment. The real pain is when you feel the version of you in English is smaller than the version of you in your first language. You have personality, you have humor, you have obedience, you have rhythm, you know how to be direct, you know how to be kind, you know how to be funny, you know how to sound professional. But in English, suddenly you become careful, you become quiet, you become basic, you say less than you think. You agree more than you want. You avoid more than you should. And after the conversation, you think, that wasn't really me. That's the pain. Not just grammar, not just vocabulary. It's the feeling that your real identity couldn't cross the language barrier with you. So here, pay attention. When I say English is access, I mean this. When I say English is access, I mean this. It can give you access to information, to people, to work, to travel, to rooms, to ideas, to relationships, to leadership, to business, to a future that may not even be visible yet. And I know that can sound dramatic, but it's true. Because sometimes one conversation changes your direction. One interview changes your income. One meeting changes your confidence. One trip changes your world view. One friendship changes your life. And sometimes English is the thing standing between you and that conversation. That's why this is not small. That's why I don't like when people say, it's just English. No, it's not just English. It's your ability to show up in situations where English is the bridge. And when you don't have the bridge yet, you feel the distance. You can see the other side, but you can't fully get there. A friend of mine from Australia just found me on Facebook and we started getting in touch again. And that is such an amazing feeling. Thank you so much, bro, for finding me and adding me on Facebook. I felt truly, genuinely happy to see you adding me on Facebook. You were such a great friend to me, mate. And I hope to stay in touch with you for a very long time, if not forever. Now, let me give you my personal angle here. For me, English was never just English, okay? English changed the way I saw myself. It opened doors for me. It helped me travel. It helped me live experiences I wouldn't have lived. It helped me meet people I would have never met. It helped me work. It helped me teach. It helped me understand different cultures. It helped me imagine a bigger life. Not because English is magic. English is not a magic potion. You don't learn English and suddenly someone appears at your door saying, "Congratulations, here's your new life, your perfect job, and emotional stability." Unfortunately, no. I checked. But English can create access, and access matters. Because sometimes people don't need more talent, they need access. They already have intelligence, they already have discipline, they already have ideas, they already have something to say. But they need the language to carry that into a bigger space. And that's what I see in so many learners. They are not empty, they are not stupid, they are not incapable, they are just stuck behind the door. And English is one of the keys. Okay, listen, here's the problem. But here's the problem though. When you don't know what English is supposed to give you access to, you study randomly. You study a little grammar, a little vocabulary, a little pronunciation, a little app, a little YouTube, a little podcast, a little 10 expressions native speakers use every day. And suddenly you have 4,000 saved posts and still panic when someone says, "So tell me about yourself." That's because information without direction becomes noise. You need to know what kind of access you are training for. Are you training for work? Then you need meetings, presentations, explanations, small talk, professional opinions. Are you training for travel? Then you need practical situations, confidence asking questions, understanding accents, solving problems. Are you training for moving abroad? Then you need real life survival English, identity, relationships, interviews, services, culture. Are you training for business? Then you need clarity, persuasion, negotiation, storytelling, trust. Are you training for confidence? Then you need pressure, repetition, feedback, recovery, emotional control. Because the goal defines the training. And if the goal is not clear, your English becomes a pile of random knowledge. Useful? Maybe. Powerful? Not yet. Listen, so maybe the question is not only, how can I improve my English? Maybe the better question is, what do I need English to give me access to? That question changes everything because I want to learn English is vague, but I want to speak in meetings without disappearing. That's specific. I want to travel and solve problems alone. That's specific. I want to talk to international clients. That's specific. I want to move countries with my family. That's specific. I want to stop feeling like a child when I speak. That's specific. And when the desire becomes specific, the practice becomes more honest. You stop pretending that watching random videos is enough, and you start training for the life you actually want. So here's something that might be uncomfortable. Sometimes English is not the thing stopping people. Sometimes English becomes the excuse. People say, when my English is better, I will apply. When my English is better, I'll speak. When my English is better, I'll travel. When my English is better, I'll start. And yes, sometimes they really do need more English. Of course. But sometimes, open quote, when my English is better, close quotes, becomes a safe place to hide. Because if you keep studying forever, you never have to risk being someone. Because if you keep studying forever, you never have to risk being seen. You never have to risk making mistakes. You never have to risk someone not understanding you. You never have to risk trying and realizing you still have work to do. So English becomes both the dream and the delay, the goal and the excuse, the door and the wall. And I say this with compassion because I understand it. Speaking another language exposes you, it makes you vulnerable. You lose control, you lose speed, you lose some of your personality for a moment. But you can't build access without crossing that uncomfortable part. At some point, you have to use the English you have while you build the English you want. That sentence is important. Use the English you have while you build the English you want. That sentence is important because waiting for perfect English can become a very sophisticated way to stay stuck. I don't think learning English is only about learning a second language. I think it's about building a second voice. And a second voice takes time. At first, it feels strange. You don't sound like yourself. You don't joke the same way. You don't explain things the same way. You don't feel as smart. You don't feel as fast. But little by little, something changes. You start saying things and thinking, okay, that sounded like me. You start making a joke and someone laughs. Dangerous moment. Very dangerous because now you think you are a comedian. But it feels good because your personality finally crossed the bridge. You start explaining your work and someone understands. You start giving your opinion and someone listens. You start surviving conversations that used to scare you. And that is when English stops being just a subject. It becomes a voice. Your voice. Not perfect, not native, not fake, yours. Therefore, here's a simple reflection for this episode. Take a notebook, your phone, or just think about it while you drink your coffee. Ask yourself, what do I want English to give me access to? And don't answer with, fluency is not specific enough. Ask deeper. Access to what? A job? A country, a room, a conversation, a version of yourself, a business opportunity, a new community, a sense of freedom. Then, after you answer that, ask, am I practicing for that access or am I just collecting English content? Because those are different things. If you want to speak in meetings, practice meetings. If you want to travel, practice travel problems. If you want to connect with people, practice telling stories and asking questions. If you want confidence, practice under pressure. If you want your voice back, practice saying things that are actually yours, not just textbook sentences. Your opinions, your stories, your work, your faith, your family, your questions, your dreams, your real life. That's how English becomes yours. So maybe, and just maybe, you don't want English. Maybe you want access. Access to rooms you haven't entered yet. Access to conversations you've been avoiding. Access to opportunities you can see but not fully reach. Access to people you want to connect with. Access to a future that requires a different version of your voice. And that's why English matters. Not because English is superior. Not because your first language is not enough. Your first language carries your history. Your first language carries your family, your humor, your memories, your emotions, your identity. But English can become another bridge, another tool, another voice, another way to show up in the world. So this week, don't just ask, how can I study more English? Ask, what do I want English to give me access to? And then start practicing in that direction. This was the PodBites Show. I'm Alan Bites. And remember, English is not the dream. It might be the door, but you still have to walk through it.